If your wife seems calm and peaceful during the divorce conversation, most men take it as a sign that it's over. They think that she's made up her mind. They think that there's nothing left to fight for. They even think that peace means finality. And that thinking will cost you everything. Because what she's showing you in that moment is not what you think it is. And if you misread it, if you respond in the wrong way, you will accelerate exactly what you're trying to stop. My name is Noah Allen, and I work with hundreds of men navigating exactly this moment. Men who lead companies, men who run operations, men who handle pressure every single day, but freeze up when their wife goes quiet in the middle of a divorce conversation. Today, I want to break down what her peace actually means, why most men read it completely wrong, and what it is actually asking of you. Because there is a window here, and if you know what you're looking at, you can walk through it. If you do not, you will walk right past it and not even know it was there. And there are so many opportunities, and guys have way more access and way more opportunities than they even realize, and they just let it slip right through their fingers. So stay with me. There is a reason she stops crying. There is a reason she stops arguing. There is a reason she sits across from you in that conversation and seems almost resigned, almost okay with it. You look at that and your gut drops because somewhere in the back of your mind, you were hoping for one more fight, one more explosion, one more sign that she still cares enough to lose it over losing you. But she did not. She just sat there, calm, measured, peaceful. And you walked away thinking, she really is done. I want you to hear this clearly. That is the most dangerous assumption you can make right now. Before we go any further, I want to mention something. If you're in this moment, if divorce conversations are happening in your house, then you need more than a video. And the link is a description that gives you two ways forward. First is my book, The Heroic Husband Method. It gives you the full foundation for what I'm going to walk you through today. The second is a consultation call with my team. We work directly with men in exactly this situation, and we help you understand what is happening in your marriage and what your next move needs to be. Both links are in the description. Now, let us get into this. Okay, so let's talk about point one, what her piece is actually telling you. Think about a wildfire with me for a second, okay? When a wildfire has been burning for a long time, burning through forests, through fields, there is a moment where it seems to die down. Flames get lower, smoke gets thin, and if you do not know what you're looking at, you would think that the fire is going out, right? It's logical, it's reasonable. But what is actually happening is the fire has consumed everything in that area. It's not dying. It is just running out of fuel in that one spot, and it is about to move somewhere else. That is what her piece looks like. Now, here's the deeper truth that most men never get told. When a woman in a marriage reaches the point of divorce conversations, she has usually been on an emotional journey that took months, sometimes years. She did not wake up one day and decide to leave. She raises flags. She brought things up. She cried. She argued, went cold, came back, pushed, pulled back, hot, cold. And somewhere in that cycle, somewhere in all of that, she got tired of fighting. Not because she stopped caring, but because she stopped trusting that fighting would change anything. So she got quiet. That quiet is not peace. That quiet is emotional depletion. There is a concept in the work that we do that's called a bleeding point. A bleeding point is not a surface complaint. Okay, too many guys are way too surface level. It is not about the dishes, schedules, or how you talk to her in front of the kids or anything like that. A bleeding point is a deeper wound. It is a place underneath all those arguments where she carries a specific pain that she has never felt safe enough to fully tell you about. And here's the thing about bleeding points. When someone bleeds long enough and nobody addresses the wound, they stop screaming. Not because they stop hurting, but because screaming takes energy they no longer have and they feel completely hopeless. That is what her piece is. It is exhaustion from unaddressed wound and complete hopelessness. Now, here is what makes this complicated. She probably does not even fully understand what I just told you. She's not sitting there thinking, oh, my bleeding point is unaddressed still. No, she just knows that she's tired. She just knows that something in her stopped fighting. And the story she's telling herself in that moment is that tiredness means that she is done, but the wound is still there. And I have seen men sit across from their wives in that exact conversation, wives who seemed absolutely certain, and within weeks of the right kind of leadership, those same women started to re-engage. Not because the man said the right thing in the divorce conversation, because he finally understood that the wound that was actually happening was underneath everything and began to address it. Now, I want to say something here And I think it matters beyond your marriage. Men are the foundation of the family, and the family is the foundation of everything built above it. Communities, societies, the world your children are going to inherit. Okay. So when a man learns to see beneath the surface, when he stops responding to symptoms and starts leading at the level of the real wound, that doesn't just save one marriage, it changes generations. That is what I'm here to build with you. Now, let us move to the point two, why most men respond the wrong way to her piece and what it costs them. Because I want to describe something. Like I've seen this happen over and over again in men I've worked with. But just think about this real quick, okay? Think about two different men sitting across from their wives in the same conversation. The first man sees her piece and he panics. He starts over explaining himself. He starts listing everything that he's done differently. He brings up the good times. He gets emotional, begs, pleads, all of that. And he thinks that he's fighting for his marriage. But what he's actually doing is flipping into the feminine and pushing away his wife. But what she experiences when he does that is she's seeing him fall apart. She watches the pressure that she's already felt increase in the room. And every time he reaches for her emotionally in that moment, she pulls back further. Because her nervous system is not reading an emotional available man, it is reading a desperate one. And desperation does not create safety, it creates suffocation. The second man sees her piece and he completely checks out. He shuts down. He thinks that if she's calm about it, then maybe they both are. He goes into logistics mode. He starts thinking about the house, the kid schedules, and the finances. And he tells himself he's being mature. But what he's actually doing is confirming to her that she was right to stop fighting because he stopped fighting too. Both of those men lost the window without even knowing it existed. Here is what I want you to understand, though, about this moment. When a woman sits down for a divorce conversation and she's peaceful and she's a very specific internal state, she's made a decision in her conscious mind. But her subconscious, the part of her that is still emotionally attached to history with you, that it still holds on to the seeds of who you were together, that still carries the weight of what she wanted this to be, that part of her is watching everything you do. And it is asking a very specific question. Is this man capable of making me feel safer? Not safe from the world, not safe from hardship, safe from the pattern that got us here. The pattern where she brought something up, you minimized it. The pattern where she needed you to hold space and you defended yourself instead. The pattern where she needed your presence and you gave her your explanation. Her conscious mind made a decision, but her subconscious mind is still collecting evidence. And if you respond to her piece with panic or shutdown, you're giving her exactly the evidence she was afraid she would find. But if you respond with something different, if you respond from a place of grounded presence, something shifts. I'm not going to go into every script or every way, right? Because this is not about words. It never was. Too many people are focused on what to say. But that's just going to make your wife feel manipulated. It's how you say it. This is about something much deeper, something that comes from understanding how the masculine and feminine are actually supposed to work together. Here's what I mean. The feminine is not designed to stay in control of itself. The feminine is designed to flow, to feel, to respond, to move with emotional current. And when a woman is in a marriage where the masculine has been absent, not physically, but energetically absent, she is forced to carry what she was never supposed to carry alone. She has to be steady because you were not steady. She has to be logical because you were reactive. She has to make decisions because you avoided them. And what she calls peace in that moment is actually the weight of carrying all of that alone, finally settling into acceptance. The masculine is supposed to be the anchor, logical, grounded, and unshakable, not because life demands perfection, but because the feminine needs to know that there is something stable to come back to. When she sees peace in the room and you fall apart or check out, she confirms that she already feared. There was no anchor, never was an anchor, and she has been right to hold herself together all this time. This is where the man of steel mindset becomes everything. Not strength for the sake of pride, strength as an act of leadership, as the thing that creates safety long enough for her to finally let her guard down after years of holding it up. Now, let's move to point number 3, what her piece is actually asking for and what masculine leadership looks like here. There's a concept I talk about with the men I coach called the signal fire. When a ship is lost at sea, the captain needs to navigate, so he looks for a signal. a fire on the shore, a lighthouse, something consistent, something that does not move. That is what she's looking for, even now, even in the middle of this conversation. She's not looking for you to chase her. She's not even looking for you to convince her. And she's not looking for you to bring her flowers, write her letters, or prove how much that you've changed in the next 10 minutes. She's looking for a signal that something fundamentally has shifted, not your behavior, your character. There is a difference. Man can change a behavior for a week and still be the same man underneath. She knows that. All women know that. She has seen it before. She knows the performance. She is not moved by performance anymore. What moves her, what actually creates movement in the subconscious question she is asking, is when she sees that you have stopped determining how you show up based on how she is treating you. Because the old version of you, the one she decided to leave, was reactive. When she was warm, you were warm. When she was cold, you were either distant or chasing. When she pushed, you crumbled. When she went quiet, you panicked. You were calibrated to her, and without realizing it, you handed her the controls of your internal state. And she could feel that. She has always been able to feel that. The feminine mirrors and multiplies whatever the masculine puts out. That is not a metaphor. That is a fundamental dynamic between the masculine and feminine energies. And when you were anxious, her anxiety amplified. When you were uncertain, her uncertainty grew. When you disconnected, her emotional distance deepened. She was mirroring you the whole time. And the peace you are seeing now, the detachment, the calm decision to end things, that is the mirror of a man who gave up on the marriage a long time ago emotionally. Even if you did not feel like you were giving up, even if you worked hard, even if you were physically present, emotional leadership is not the same as physical presence. It's not the same as providing. It's not the same as trying. It is the capacity to hold a space that feels safe enough for her to fully show up in. And that is what she was unable to find in this marriage. Not a bad husband necessarily, but an absent leader. Now, here is what changes things. When a man walks into a conversation, into her peace, and he does not panic, he does not check out, and he does not perform, when he simply sits across from her with a grounded presence that says, I finally see what I'm missing, not because I'm afraid of losing you, but because I am done being a man who could not hold this, something happens underneath her decision. It does not flip like a switch. She does not break down and cry and say that she wants to stay, but something shifts quietly, subconsciously. She files it away. And that filing, that single moment of something different is the beginning of a very specific process that I have seen turn situations like yours around. Not overnight, but in a way that is real and lasting. The men I have coached who have turned the most critical marriages around were not ones that said the most. There were ones who showed up most consistently after the conversation happened. I had a guy named Kent who came to me after his wife told him that she was already like research attorneys. And she was not even angry in that conversation. She was just calm. That's what freaked him out the most. She told him with clear eyes that she just had simply stopped waiting. He told her later that her calm terrified him more than any fight they ever had, because fighting meant she still cared. Her peace felt like a closed door. What we worked on together was not how to win the argument. There was no argument. It was about becoming the man whose presence alone communicates something different. Not words, presence. Over the following weeks, he stopped reacting to her cues. He stopped looking for signs that she was softening. He stopped calibrating himself to her moods. He just led quietly, consistently, with a kind of steadiness that she has been asking for years in the only language she knew how to speak: distance and disappointment. 3 months later, she told him that she wanted to pause the divorce process, not because of one conversation, but because the signal fire had finally been lit and she could see it from where she was standing. That is what your job is right now. Not to convince her, not to prove yourself, and not to decode what peace means in the specific moment. Your job is to become the anchor, to build the signal fire, to show up in a way that is consistent enough that even from where she is standing, wherever that is, she can start to see something different. The heroic husband method is built around exactly this work. The emotional layering protocol is a system that we use with men we coach. And we walk you through the 3 stages of what this actually looks like in practice: healing, shifting, and bonding. Not in theory, real conversations, real moments, in the specific situations that show up in your marriage. And because every marriage is different, because your wife's peace looks different than Kent's wife's peace, I want you to get real support, not just a video. The link is in the description and it gives you two things. First, my book, The Heroic Husband Method. It has reached thousands of men. I think now we're over 6,000 worldwide, right? So exactly in the same situation worldwide. I kid you not. Like you think that it's like unique to you. It's not. This is happening worldwide. It gives you the foundations, the language, the frameworks for understanding what it actually is happening, what actually works. The second is a consultation call with my team. We sit down with you directly. We look at your specific situation and we tell you exactly what your next steps need to be. It's not generic advice. It's a real plan for your marriage. Both links are in the description. Take action now. Not when the situation gets worse, because too many guys fence it and tire kick and they go, oh no, when it seems too late. Because here's the final truth that I want to leave with you. Her peace is not the end, it's just a signal. But here is the thing about signals, they don't wait forever. The window that she is in right now is a specific emotional state. It's not permanent. It can either move towards a deeper shutdown, whether the subconscious question gets answered the wrong way enough times that she just stops asking it, or it can move towards a very quiet turn back in your direction. You are the only variable that determines which way it goes. Not therapy, not time, not convincing her. You, the man you show up as in the next 30 days, will tell her nervous system everything she needs to know about whether to close that door completely or leave it open a little bit longer. You do not build this company or run this team or raise your family by waiting for things to improve on their own. You built it by deciding and then doing the work. There is no difference here. Decide now, then do the work. The link is in the description, and I'll see you on the other side.